Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Meet the President. Today I'm meeting Jenn Zahrt. Hi, Jen.
Hello.
Hi there. And you are the president of ISAR. Some people call it ISAR, but ISAR, the International Society for Astrological Research. I've got that
Yeah.
right, haven't I? Yes, there we go.
Yes, you did.
I should know. I mean, I've been a member for many, many years. And tell us about uh, how you came to be president and what you're doing and what inspired you to join and be involved.
Well, for a long time, I have wanted to be involved with the orgs, and about 10 years ago, I went to the University of Washington to get a certificate in nonprofit management, just to be waiting, like to get, I've got the training, and I thought I was going to be doing something more intensively with Kepler. And in 2022, I put my hat in the ring to join the board of ISAR and was voted onto the island. And then at some point, as roles shift, I was also put into the role of president. I wasn't seeking it per se. It just kind of, there was a lot of turnover at one point, and so it just became my turn. So I sort of see it that way that I'm holding space and serving the community in this role, but also, eventually we'll be having like to let others serve in this role, and I'm excited for that to happen as well. So I sort of see it kind of as a as we have our leadership carousel in the astrology community, this is sort of my go around. But I'm also thinking about the future. And with everything I do, I'm always thinking about, the unborn generation that'll benefit from anything that we put together. So,
Right. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. So, what does your week or month look like when you're working for ESA?
So when I began in the role of president, we started to have weekly meetings. So unlike boards that only meet once every 2 months to discuss things, we meet every week. And I find that awesome because there's a lot of that gives room for the human to be present in the meeting. It's not just business only. And so we know each other very well. And it's allowing us to make really good progress. It's a working board, not a governing board, meaning that we are volunteering to do the work. There is, no one else besides us. And so unless we recruit volunteers to help. And that's really cool because it allows us to do a lot of heavy lifting, but it doesn't feel heavy because we're doing it sustained.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, obviously, the word research is in the title, and yet it's so much more than that. Tell us a bit about what ESAR offers and why should someone join?
So we have an ongoing conversation going through something called the Mighty Networks. It's our forum. Anytime I've seen entities establish forums on websites, they often break. Like WordPress can be very finicky. And so we decided to go with Mighty Networks, where you can create an account. You don't actually need to be a member of ISAR to be a part of this, actually, as part of our service to the community. And so there's lots of conversations going on there. One of our board members, Alejandra Eusebi Polic, sees people there every month talking about a research project that's collaborative now. So through studying the astrological markers for pregnancy, they're going to be testing them. Kind of like, I know in the mid 20th century, there was a lot of astrologers gathering together to test the old axioms and aphorisms of traditional astrology. And so that's happening still inside of our organization. And Alejandra is leading the charge on that. She's an expert in qualitative and quantitative astrological research from Argentina. And she recently went to one of the conferences in the UK that was hosted by the Sophia Center in London in January. So she's starting to have conversations with people around the world regarding that quantitative astrological research and then leading members who want to participate through one project together. But we're going to be opening up space for more collaborative projects to get started within the forums and also then spill outside of that, obviously, with meetings and such. And we will be rebooting the publication soon. We had a hiatus of that because of some turnover as well. But that's going to be another platform for people to be publishing all the things you won't publishing in the Mountain Astrologer, which is geared towards more of the probably like not so heady nerdy, right? Like we're gonna have copious footnotes and this kind of like hardcore research enterprise because you see in the old Cosmos editions, I sometimes call them Cosmi. You see in like old Cosmos, there'll be just little research notes. It was pre-internet, pre-BBS kind of communication, digital communication. So people like Axel Harvey would just say, "Hey guys, what do you think of this?" And then someone else, even Stephen Arroyo, has a letter to the editor just as he was beginning his career in psychology and also looking into astrology, saying, "Hey, I think there's some potential for this. What do you guys think?" And so having the publication embrace that more of like ongoing research report concept and then inviting people to do some like, hey, if you do the stats, can we get together and I'll be looking at this element of it together. So that's a vision that we're holding and trying to put together. And I meet with the public every other Wednesday in a coffee clutch. So when I was in graduate school, I was also on the student council and they had funding for meetings. And so I would go and apply for these funding and I would get a bunch of cheese and bread and have this little German breakfast in the Department of German at Berkeley. And I was like, we could do that at ISAR, actually. I was there, I said at ISAR. We could have this kind of, casual meeting where we just talk astrology. Instead of speaking German, we'll speak astrology. And we have people, it's very small right now, but everyone's invited. If you're watching this, you're invited to get onto the forum and come. You don't need to be a member yet. And you can speak with me and the others there. There's regulars. We have people from England, Argentina as well, but not Alejandra. It's someone else from Argentina, which is great. And people from France and Greece and Germany all together every week or every other week. And I love that because it's this microcosm of exchange where I've learned from those conversations what people are studying or what they're looking into. We've had all kinds of, and I know you like the non-gesmal, right? Do you like the non-gesmal? It's a
Oh,
good
yes, I'm a fan of that. Yes.
that came up in a coffee clutch. We're just talking about the non-agenda.
Oh, I've lost you, Jem.
I'm here, I'm here, I'm
Oh, yeah,
here.
yeah. There we go.
Okay,
I
we'll
think
just start there.
it was overwhelmed by the non-adjustable. So tell
Yeah,
us.
right?
So that got raised in a meeting, did it?
Yeah. Yeah, organically, we've covered so much ground in terms of various timing techniques or ways that people interpret certain symbol systems inside astrology or even degree symbol systems. And it's a really open format for anything to percolate what's happening in the current moment. And so people who arrive, everyone learns something each time, and sometimes they run long and it's just a beautiful sort of shift, I think, in the culture where anyone can come and it's very open and horizontal in terms of like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And we're growing together and we're also hatching new visions for where we can put our research interests and such. So, yeah, that's one facet of it. Another piece of the ISAR pie that's being worked on, Asdrubal Moreno, our board director from Chile, is thoroughly revamping the affiliated schools program, and we're adding a module program, an affiliated module program, which will allow smaller schools to affiliate themselves with ISAR and understand like their education has been given that acknowledgement of excellence, and we are going to sort of widen the community of excellent education around the world and what people can look forward to when they're trying to learn quality astrology.
Great. So the emphasis on research and community. It's also, of course, education, and there have been counseling skills, different things. Tell us a bit about what's around at the moment.
So CAPISAR is technically, because of the United States legal system, a spin out from ISAR now. So we had always done that in-house until it became clear that we needed to grow into two organizations. So CAPISAR is technically a separate but affiliated organization from ISAR, and they offer ethics training, counseling training, and the competency exam. And when you pass all of those things, then you can receive something called a CAP, which is Certified Astrological Professional. And it's a mark of excellence in terms of communicating to the world that you are a certified astrologer. You can put the letters behind your name. If you don't have those yet and you want some, you can go to CAPISAR and take the ethics training, the consulting skills training, and the competency exam. And if you score a certain percentage on that, then you can receive this credential. And they are growing the program. They're translating it now into Spanish. I think it's been translated into Portuguese. Hopefully, they'll continue to translate that exam into other languages. But I'm not the president of CAPISAR. That's Patrick Watson. So maybe you can meet that president and ask him more questions about the CAPISAR part of the organization.
Good idea. Well, it sounds like you've got your finger on the pulse on many different pulses. Tell us a bit about your own non-ESAR work. I can see you're at the library. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I founded Kaylee, which is the Celestial Arts Education Library in Olympia, Washington in 2021, and that's where I'm sitting now. I had been collecting collections of astrology books, mostly because ages ago I got very upset that I couldn't study astrology at university. So I've always been interested in finding a way to allow astrology to get back into university systems. And that was another reason for my emphasis on being involved with Kepler because they were doing that up to a point. But they encountered some administrative issues with getting accredited. And so in learning from that, I realized that the world of getting astrology back into the academy, the front of that is publishing. So, like you, I founded a publishing business, and that's another thing that is part of what I do. Publishing books about the history of astrology with Nick Campion at the Sophia Center Press, but also publishing books about astrological technique with my own press, Revelor Press. And Kaylee has now become a house for all of those and the other books. So it's effectively a research archive, housing in one space all of the books someone might need to reference the techniques and history and philosophy of astrology because I noticed that a lot of universities don't give much shelf space to this. They might have 90 or 100 books, or they're very scattered throughout the library, and there's no information taxonomy to acknowledge astrology because of its sort of bastard status in the halls of academia. So I thought I was going to do this later in my life, but it just all of the elements came together. And yes, it was also in my chart. So it's like, okay, boom, you're going to start this library now. And so I operate most of my work from here, but it is open to members who can come and use it as a research archive. And, nothing circulates because the feeling of opening up a book and seeing an astrologer reference another astrological text and being able to just walk across the room and get it is so profound and like it changes people's lives. I've seen them come here and work on research projects, and it's actually life-changing for them to have everything at their fingertips. So.
Wow. And you've been instrumental with Nick Campion in establishing the press over there in the UK. Tell us a bit more about that.
So we began working together. I was a graduate student at Berkeley and I was volunteering with Culture and Cosmos. And slowly, with project after project, I began typesetting, I began copy editing. And at one point, after I think about 10 years of working with the Sophia Center Press, an opening came to be a company director. So I assumed that role as well. And together, we look at what's happening at the Sophia Center and we encourage the students and the alumni to finish their projects and turn them into books. So we have Sophia Center Master Monographs, which is a master's thesis that has been expanded and up-leveled into a monograph level of work. And sometimes what that actually means is taking some of the academies out of it so that it's digestible for the public, but they can start to fall in love with things like the history of astrology, but also cosmology. One of our titles in that is about the temples in Malta, which I think is really cool. Another one, I had this idea to tell the woman writing it, I'm like, she was examining the dark sky park in the Isle of Sark. And I said, you should just call it Sark in the Dark. So that is the title of the book, but it's about how Sark came to be a dark sky park and what that culture is like on the island and what it feels like to be in a place where there are no electrical lights at night. And you can actually appreciate the night sky in its full brilliance. So, and the Sophia Center is more than just astrology. Also, it looks at cosmological traditions and skyscape archaeology. So there's a lot to be said for what's going on there. And we work on conference proceedings, we turn them into anthologies and other monographs by people. And we have just released a re-edition of Patrick Curry's Prophecy and Power. We've just brought out, it's coming now actually, Gary Phillipson's Astrology in the Year Zero, which is a very important anthropological work on how astrologers do their work and also how skeptics see astrology in their work together. And you were instrumental in publishing that in the year 2000, and now it's been a quarter century, if you can believe that, since the first publication. So we're bringing it out so that it's a little more legible to an academic audience as well, by via being published through the Sophia Center Press.
Fantastic. So it sounds like you've got your hands full. Is there something that you want to do in the future that's completely different from that, but still astrological, or anything you want to share about maybe 5 years from now?
Oh, I'm thinking 40 years from now.
40 years.
But
Okay.
so what I would love to share is just inviting people to partake of these resources like the ISAR research community and like Sophia Center as another university research component, and also Kaylee as a research archive as well, because the way that I believe we will change the public's opinion about astrology includes publishing really awesome works about it. And the more that we can make that academically legible, the more we will succeed in changing popular perceptions of what astrology actually is. So we need to have quality education leading to quality publication and the research archives that will support all of that as well. So, my vision would be to say if each one of us listening to this interview right now were to write a monograph or maybe five or articles for things like even the Mountain Astrologer, even, the Culture and Cosmos, any of the venues, publish all over the place because the more that we publish, the more that we establish ourselves as a field, and collectively we will create serious problems for librarians around the world because they'll say, there's all this material, and where are we going to put this? We're going to create the taxonomy by creating the material that needs to be taxonomized. But that's a huge project and it requires everyone's input.
So you're right about the next 40 years then.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
So where can people find all the things you've mentioned? ISAR, Kaylee, your own work, Sophia Center.
That would be
Find
a
them.
rattling list of links. I actually have not got my own personal website up to date right now. That's just for booking consultations. But isarastrology.com would be where you find ISAR. And again, you can join the conversation that we're hosting for the community on the Mighty Network without even being a member. So definitely make sure that you're involved over there. When Meta implodes, we're going to want to have spaces for astrologers to gather and talk. And for Kaylee, it's caeli.institute. And you can see what we offer there. You can browse our collection that's been cataloged so far. We're not done yet, so there's a lot more to be put in there. And then for the Sophia Center Press, sophiacenterpress.com, spelled with R-E, not E-R. And there's, again, that new book by Gary Phillipson coming out, but there's lots of other fascinating books to see there. And I think that's it for
And
now.
the Sophia Center, is that still linked to Lampeter? And the,
Absolutely.
yes, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's an accredited program for a master's degree in cultural astronomy and astrology at the University of Wales, Trinity St. David, now breathe. It's quite a mouthful.
It always has been. Easier
What
when
I
it
love
was.
most,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Bath was very easy. What I love most is getting bilingual emails because sometimes I haven't had my coffee yet, and I'm on the west coast of the United States, so they'll be sending emails throughout the night, and I'll wake up and I'll go, "Huh? What is this?" And I read further down and I realize, "Oh, I'm reading in Welsh," so
Ah, yes.
yeah. Yeah, but
Another thing to learn. Yes.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I guess another through line would be the cross-cultural perspectives as well. I've always had one foot in England and Germany. And so one thing I love about working as the president of ISAR at the moment is how many languages I get to hear and how many people get to interface with each other on a regular basis and transcend national boundaries when it comes to speaking astrology.
Right. Well, that's a wonderful place to end. Thank you so much for informing us on that and also introducing all the different areas of your life that you excel in. So thank you very much, Jen. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.